Can I see? All right, guys. Am I live? Live chat. There we go. Oh, yay. Good. I'm glad. Okay, cool. I am live. Okay, cool. So I've never gone live before. And actually my internet just my router just died. So we'll make this more casual than kind of what I wanted to do originally. So let me see if I can get this other computer on, because I had some really good, yeah, it's not gonna work. All right, that's cool. So I had some really good videos that I wanted to talk about. I had found this one about this man. Yo, he's been going through this insane saga of and it's crazy too, because he gets like maybe like 500 views. It's like a totally niche channel, and I want to talk about it. So for right now, for this stream, I'm just gonna kind of like introduce some of these topics, and I kind of want this to be like an ongoing conversation, because at the end of the day, all of this has to do with sex and sexuality. All these, and one of the things that I think is so incorrect is when a lot of these trans rights activists, and you'll see in a lot of these charts and stuff, these charts that they have for kids, like the gingerbread man one, and it's like gender is the sex that you identify with, and sexuality is who you go to bed with, and trying to separate all these things, which doesn't make sense, because our sex is so intimately intertwined with our sexuality. So of course sexuality is very relevant, and it's going to be really relevant. So I can't really see the chat. I think it pops up like I'm doing this off my phone, so I'm not going to really be able to see. I want to interact with you guys. Fuck. It's because I don't my internet is not working right now. So I just ordered a new router. I just got on Amazon right away, and I rush ordered it. So it should be in tomorrow. So we can continue with this. Oh, so it is popping up. Okay, Biblio Wolf. Hey guys, Nora, hey. I'm nervous. I've never been live before. There's only 18 of you guys here, so that makes me feel better. Hold on, let me turn this down for a second. And like whenever I get nervous, I don't know if you guys notice, but every time I do a video, I have like a whole like snack, like just smorgasbord laid out in front of me. Snacks like really calm my nerves. So I have like a whole bunch of like fruits and stuff on the table right there. So I just watched 2 really good videos, and I want to respond to them. Oh, thanks, little cat. And so I'm just going to kind of prep talk about them now, and then tomorrow, hopefully once I get my router, I can show you the videos and we can really talk about it. Hey, Nikki. But the first video that I saw was this man who was talking about this. His story is awful. So he is this alcoholic in long-term recovery. He's been sober for 28 years. And I think during that time, once he got into recovery, he decided that he was a trans-identified male and decided to transition to a woman. And he had a vaginoplasty. And he had a vaginoplasty sometime back in like 2002. So a long time ago, 20 years ago. You can only imagine if the technology like sucks right now. Can you fucking imagine having gotten one back in like the early 2000s? That thing must have been like a real piece of work. So this poor man, he again, early recovery from alcoholism, and is hey Katie Jean, hey, I sent you an email. And I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at keeping up with my inbox. Sometimes my inbox gives me like anxiety, because like I really want to have these like meaningful interactions with everybody. Some people send me the most beautiful, thoughtful emails, or they'll send me like great resources. And I find myself like wanting to like give all of the same energy back, and then I'll end up, before I know it, I'll be like 2 hours in responding, and I'm like, fuck, and I have to so budget my time. So sometimes I just avoid my inbox and then it's bad and I'll like miss these really like time sensitive correspondence with people inviting me to things and so I'm so sorry if I'm really bad about it. Just know I will get to it. It just might be like a week late and I'm really, really sorry. But Katie Jean, I responded to you and I just sent you an email a little bit before this. Also, I responded to Women's Liberation Radio News. So if you're in here, I doubt you are, but just check your email also. And it's related to what you would email me back, Katie. So what was I saying? Okay, so this poor man, I gotta turn off my notifications. They keep coming up until this day. Yeah, I know, right? So neo vaginas are still a mess. And as we've seen, through Exelanzic's, really excellent documentation and luckily now, people are so quick to want to go and just broadcast, everything. We have so much wonderful and in real time documentation of people getting these surgeries. So we're able to watch it. And I think a lot of times when these people are posting this stuff, they're really posting thinking that it's just like they're in their little echo chamber, and they mostly are. So, they'll leak out some of the truth and be like, well, and it's so funny when you watch, especially people who are still holding steadfast to the idea that transition was a great move and they're so grateful and their lives are safe. They always will give this disclaimer of, listen, my experience is not the same as everyone's experience. And I don't want this to sound like, overall, I'm very happy. I'm so happy. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how happy I am with this neo vagina. My God. Okay, so it's oozing a little bit and it's stinky, but better than that fucking penis that I had before. That thing, thank God that's gone. So it's like they'll give you this like whole like spiel about like they're so grateful, but then they'll go to like proceed and tell us like these like horrific like medical side effects that you're just like saying like, my God, they're like, but I am happy with it and it's healing. It's healing. Okay, and it takes time. It just takes time. That's all. It just takes some time. And everybody's like, oh yeah. And like, I don't. And it was even like the whole thing with Jazz, with her mom or with his mom. She was like, sorry. She was like, Jeanette was like, don't talk about these surgeries and, we don't want to turn people off to it. And Jazz was like, I know. Oh my God. It just all started to come out. I know I'm not supposed to. I went off script. And Jeanette's like, we've like drilled this into you. You're supposed to just talk about how great it is. And it's true. It's like they're so terrified of coming off of like, this was awful. But at the same time, it's like, you cut your dick off. Like, I get wanting to like commit to that because it's like a lot of these people think about it, probably spent years trying to convince everybody that this is their authentic self. This is what they really want. This is who they are. They've had to like go through all this pushback. They've had to like push and push and push. And like, they probably like lost a lot of relationships, like alienated all these people, convinced people to either like crowdsource, pay for it. Cause a lot of these people are not able to work. They're not able to function. They're so wrapped up and so self-absorbed. It's not like this is like a side hobby where they're going to work and they're functioning every day. But spending a couple hours at night, like doing some research, like this is their life. They're not functioning. And then it's like you start taking hormones and it's messing with your body chemistry and people just throw themselves into like a psychosis. So again, it's not like these people are like fully self-sufficient and like paying for all this stuff. A lot of times it's like crowd-sourced funding, or now, as we know, especially in the States and especially in Canada, a lot of Medicaid's paying for it. I know in Washington State, it'll cover up to $100,000 of trans surgeries, cosmetic surgeries. And I think in my state or surrounding state, it's like up to like $70,000. And I'm sure if you need like a revision, which all of these eventually do, you just hound them, you just hound them and hound them. And there's so many of these, gender clinics and these, gender therapists and other people who are all ready to go to hound them with you, so again, it's like all of the investment. Well, Gruffin has been very straightforward that she's paid like upwards of $600,000 for her roll-up ween. 600,000, yo, that's a house. That's multiple houses. That's college plus like times 2. That's sending my kids to college. For what? For what? So you can be a medical patient for the rest of it's oh my god. So anyway, so it's like these people will put themselves and put everyone around them through hell just to get there. They wake up, they realize immediately that, oh my god, this is a monstrosity mistake. And they're so excited for the big reveal. One thing I've noticed too, and especially with a lot of the top surgeries, I feel like one of the most benign, not benign, but like kind of straightforward, very serious trans medical procedure is the top surgery. It's not as hardcore and complex as the bottom surgery. So that's usually the thing that comes first. And that'll be like the first major trans rite that they'll go through. And I've watched so many reveals at this point where it's like, okay, like today's the day. And like, the girl will be standing there like, I'm so nervous. And everybody's like, okay, honey, here we go. It's the new you. And they're like, yee. And then they'll like take off all the things. And then they're kind of like, oh God, I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's like for a minute, they'll stutter and like their kind of like real feelings will leak out. And they're like, I mean, oh, it's me, I'm flat. And it's like they'll almost like kick into this like very well rehearsed performance that they've been planning for probably years at this point. I swear to God, I'll put together a compilation. I added some from that one video I did talking about top surgery. I had put a lot together where it's these big reveal moments of women with top surgery. And you can just, it's so creepy how similar they all are. And it's always like, oh, I'm flat. And they're like, yay. And it's so like infantilizing too. They're acting like little kids who like, we got you the pony. We got you the pony. And it's like, and it's like, oh, this is what I've always wanted, my true self. It's so performative and it's so sad and creepy. And so then it's like, people feel you have to commit. And I've talked about this before. This is the real thing. This is the reason why. It's the reason why certain sports teams, it's the reason why fraternities and sororities will haze, that they'll haze incoming freshmen. Because there is a effect in psychology where the more you've had to work and sacrifice for something and go through pain for something, the more you have to psychologically justify why you did it. So imagine, you're an incoming freshman at a new university and, they do, I mean, back in the day, my dad, I think, was in one and he was like telling us all this like weird shit that they used to do. They would like paddle each other, like make you pull your pants down and like hit each other with like a wooden like paddle and like kick each other into the lake. Just like weird shit. And like just terrorize these freshmen who are like for the first time ever away from mom and dad, so want to be a part of something and just get like humiliated, terrorized, and tortured. And then at the end, they're like hyper committed to the frat. They either die or they're like super committed. It's like kind of like one or the other. And it's the same reason with like, boot camp with United States military. They'll put you through hell. And that's not just to test you. That is to activate this mechanism that makes you hyper loyal to anything that you've had to really sacrifice for, because mentally you need to justify, why the fuck did I just piss in a cup and like swallow it with a goldfish and then like let people like blow boogers on me. Like you have to be like, cause this was like a real like noble cause. That's why, because like I'm living my truth. So you can see, and but then it's like it's crazy because you'll see like the facade break down a little bit, where like their true feelings will leak out, but you almost watch them in real time self-correct. I would not be able to process and cope either. No, no, it's awful. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't tell me that like our sexuality is not such a huge part of who we are, which is why it was like the oppression of homosexual people was so evil, was so sincerely evil in a way that like the gender cult has tried to co-opt in a way that's not so not the same, but it's like if they make it their argument sound similar enough, because it is to have to force someone to deny their own sexuality, I think is such like a cruel, it's such a cruel thing to do. It's how, I mean, sexuality, it's and I always describe it this way. It's like my sexuality is what made me a mother. You know, my sexuality is what has connected to the person that I'm closest to in this world. It's so much of how I've discovered my own body. It's a source of my own creativity. It's you know, and it motivates so much of human behavior when you think about it. It is so much of our society is developed around human sexuality, you know, and so when human sexuality starts to become pathological, I mean, that can have profound impacts on people's life. And that's why this porn thing is one of, I think, the most pressing concerns of our time. It's one of the most pressing, I feel like, not, I mean, other than like fundamental issues with like, you know, food shortages and clean water and you know, getting medical care, it on a cultural level, I think this global porn addiction, it has a tremendous deleterious impact on us as individuals, us as society. So much of our society is informed by our sexuality and is informed by, I mean, how we relate to each other as human beings. That's why we need sex segregated spaces, is because of the sexuality of men, which again, male sexuality for the most part, you know, is like it's like a proact. It's, you know, men pursue, men are the aggressors, you know, and again, women are the gatekeepers, you know, if you're from like a heteronormative perspective. So and so to this whole idea, this notion that like, you know, they say, oh, gender is who you identify with and sex is who you sleep with, and to try to separate the two out, it's I think that's so wrong, and it's so incorrect. And it's so sad. I just, it's so sad. Could you guys imagine, like, really imagine waking up and realizing that, like, in a state of psychosis, born of trauma, born of just a disconnect with your own body, you genitally mutilated in a way that can never be undone? That you'll never again experience the full range of sexual functioning? Can you imagine what that must feel like? And so one thing that I'll notice too is when I watch some of these videos of people talking about, you know, post-bottom surgery, it's almost like a mantra. They keep saying, well, you know, yeah, right now I can't feel anything, you know, because we got to just wait for the nerves to grow back. And then once the nerves grow back, yeah, oh yeah, hey, well, I'm going to feel it all. Yeah, you better believe it. I think it's just, you know, it's only been like 6 weeks, or it's only been like 6 months. It's, no, that takes time. And then I'm gonna be all the way in there. It's like they're like, you can see them like rationalizing it like aloud in this sort of like almost painfully anxious way. This like you can like almost like this like awkward tension. Everyone's like, oh yeah. Yeah, no, definitely cool. That sounds cool. Like, well, good luck with that, man. I'm like, I'd be like, yo, I'm fucking out of here. And yeah, so like, with the sunk cost fallacy, it's like if the sunk cost fallacy is so strong for them on an individual level, then not only do they need to continue to justify why they did it to themselves, but they almost need to like push it onto other people. And I think it also is like a misery loves company kind of thing. It's like you don't want to be the only one. It's like, I'm not crazy for getting this, right? I mean, this is something that we all want, right, guys? Right? We're all doing it, right? We're all in this together. um God, and I think porn is the root. I think is the root of a lot of this. I think that it's this social media sort of society. I think I don't know. It's terrifying. It's really scary. It's scary. So anyway, one of the videos that I want to bring up whenever I get my internet back up was so this guy who I said he was in 28 years of alcohol sobriety. And during I think during his time entering and sustaining sobriety, he went and got a vaginoplasty, and this was in 2002. Like I was saying, you can only imagine. um and he was married, I think, at the time, and he got this vaginoplasty and then regretted it, and now is getting phalloplasty. First he got vaginoplasty, then he had a vaginectomy to close up the vagina with the vagina. He had the, I guess, urethral shortening. Now to fix it, he's having phalloplasty with urethral re-lengthening. No, sorry, he had metoidioplasty first. I was like, metoidioplasty, I thought was just pulling out the clitoris. So what are they pulling out? How do you have a metoidioplasty if you have a neovagina? The whole thing, it's just horrifying. And he has to wear, this man, I think he's like 60 now, is saying how he has to wear adult diapers. I mean, just mutilated. Oh my God. And then, so then right after that, it went into a video of a trans-identified female, again, who had a phalloplasty. Excuse me. So, had a phalloplasty. It was very much just, the whole video was very much just a manic, like, very anxious justification of why she did this, that everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be able to feel it one day. Yeah. And explaining that she can't penetrate her partner, but she might be able to if she uses an erectile device, that it's actually made for biological males who have an erectile dysfunction. They insert an implant device that you literally, so I don't mean to laugh, because it's like, I know that like for some men, like this is real, like a real issue. But they put like a rod in it that's like a Gumby rod, and like it like they have to like bend it out. I'm sorry, it's like, it's awful for people who like legitimately need this. But like, who wants this? Who's like, yeah, I want to like, I want that for myself. It's like this, like, what the fuck? It's not funny. It's like this Gumby thing that it's like a rod that they have to like literally like bend it up and then bend it. Oh my God, it's so sad. So then she was like, yeah, so like I feel like, I'll be able to use one of those. But I think isn't it like a 6-stage surgery? It's like a multi-tiered surgery. I think it's like way down the line. She was like, yeah, so had a phone call. So then, like, she's like, yeah, my mom just called. She's gonna call me like 17 more times. Does anybody else's parents, like, when they call you, if you don't answer, I'm like, mom, listen, like, so everybody now has caller ID. So if you call, I will see that you called. You don't, this isn't like a house phone where, like, I don't know who's calling. You don't need to call me like 17 times in a row. If I didn't answer, it's like for a legitimate reason. I will call you back. So yeah, she might call me back like 17 more times. What was I saying? Oh yes. So she was like, she's like, yeah, so like I might, have to get a ride. And I was like trying to like justify. She's like, well, so it severed a lot of these smaller nerve connections, and that takes a while to grow back, which I know. I had an abdominoplasty. I had very severe diastasis. And here's another thing, and not to get too far off track. I had really severe diastasis recti from having 4 kids. So my abdominal wall was so weak, was so pulled apart. And I've always been a really active person, okay? I've always done sports. I used to run like 4 miles a day. I've always been really active. I've always been in shape. I'm probably like the most out of shape I've ever been in my life right now. And I mean just like strength and endurance wise. But so I had such bad abdominal pulling apart that there was no way to restore my abdomen, because even traditional abdominal strengthening it'll strengthen it, but your abdomen is still deformed. Your muscles are still deformed. So it'll strengthen, but it'll strengthen in the wrong shape. It's like if you don't reset, it's like if you break your leg and you don't have the bones reset, yeah, they'll heal, but they'll heal all fucked up. So you'll be like fucked up. It's like that. So but of course it's considered, it's considered a cosmetic surgery. And it's crazy because I was talking to my surgeon about this. I was like, for me, I'm here because it's a quality of life thing. Am I nuts? Like, because I also had like 6 different hernias all over the place. I was in so much pain I had like 2 inguinal hernias. I had like an umbilical hernia. I had like another hernia on the side. It was a whole shit show. So, and he was like, no, absolutely, it's a quality of life issue. And it's something that, the American Plastic Surgeon Association has been fighting with insurance companies for such a long time. And you know what the response from insurance companies is? It's because some women will get will have abdominoplasty as a form of like a tummy tightening, to make their stomachs look flatter for a cosmetic. So they said because it has such a cosmetic benefit to it, that they will never, ever, ever cover it. It's across the board denied. It doesn't matter how bad your diastasis is. Across the board denied because it can be abused for cosmetic purposes. And, and I was like, well, what about, can't they just come up with some standard that like if it's bad enough, if there's enough separation? And, he said that they have not been able to get enough literature to say that it's damaging enough to quality of life. And I was like, well, what's your opinion on that? He's like, I think it's bullshit. He's like, I think it's bullshit. And he's like, and I'm saying this as a father, as a husband, as a physician, as a human being. I think it's bullshit, not just because it's part of my practice and this is the money that I make. But he's like, I genuinely think no. He goes, some women are de facto crippled because of it. Some women, that's how I felt. I couldn't keep up with my kids. Like I said, I've always been an athletic person. I think with my first 2 kids, I was fine. It was my second 2 that really fucked me up. And my lower back was just in so much pain all the time because, when your core is weak, it puts a lot of strain on your lower back. And my sciatic nerve, my hips, I was just in so much pain. I couldn't lift. My life has dramatically improved since I had an abdominoplasty. It was the best thing I could have invested any money into. I feel 1,000 times better. I used to feel, actually, what would help me was wearing a corset, was wearing or not like like a corset, like one of those, what's it called? You know, like the waist trainer or whatever. But it would help me because it would hold all of my muscles. My muscles were just like falling out. And it literally, my intestines were pushing through my abdominal wall. And so it would like hold everything back in. Oh my God. It would just take off so much strain off my lower back. And I was like, I can't live like this. I'm too young. I was like 30. I was like, I can't do another 40 years of this shit. I'll go nuts. So, yeah, no. And I was like, there's no way to get this covered. And he was like, no. It's because it's, you know, it's too similar to a cosmetic surgery. It's too much of a cosmetic quality to it. And it's like, you know, and as mothers, we can't even get these just sort of basic quality of life. Do you know how long it took for us to get breast pumps covered by insurance? Do you have any? I was part of that. I was part of the move for to get on a federal level to get breast pumps. I was my doula trainer. She was the one who had started the community doula program that offered me all of my original. It was a fellowship that I had been awarded. I was one of 16 women that had been awarded a community doula fellowship, and we had year-long trainings, and we were serving low-income women. I was serving like teen mothers, Spanish-speaking women. I was serving women, domestic abuse survivors, refugees, things like that. And she works for Montclair University. She's a phenomenal, to this day, it like makes me emotional. She's done so much for women and for mothers, like in particular. I'm like gonna cry. No, but she was a big leading force in petitioning to get breast pumps covered so that mothers can, you know, especially, and because she works with low-income women. So one of the biggest things with low-income women was, you know, trying to get back on their feet after having had a baby. And a lot of women were unpartnered. If they were new to the country, they didn't have a lot of family. Do you know how freeing it is just to have a breast pump so that you can still feed your baby breast milk and still can come home and maintain a breastfeeding relationship, but also work? And they're that they were paying for fucking Gruffin to get a fucking fruit roll up sewn onto her pubic bone, and have some like Gumby rod put in to make it go up and make it go down so that, you know, she can penetrate a partner. Like, what the fuck? It's just so sad. We don't give a fuck about women, you know, like we just don't. It's so sad. So anyway, I'm sorry I'm getting so far off track. So this other woman who was talking about her phalloplasty was trying to like talk about like sensation and oh yeah, I can still feel sensation. I mean, not totally. Oh, so I remember that the reason I brought up the reason I brought up my abdominoplasty is because I know. Let's look. I'll show you guys. You guys can see like you see this long scar that I have. So basically they had to cut me from like here to here, right? And these are from all of my laparoscopic. This is when I had my my ovaries. My ovaries are like up here and they're useless. But you know, here even my belly button was like cut open. So they had to cut me across here, and then they pull they cut off some of the like excess skin. They pull your skin up. I've like watched a bunch of versions of this surgery. And they like, so you can see it's like, oh God, it's so much better now. My abs are such a mess. And so you know that your abdominal wall doesn't connect down the middle. So it's woven on the sides and then it's here. And it's to allow for pregnancy so it'll expand and stretch. Now, normally it'll come back together. Mine didn't. Mine was all like just fucked up. So he had to pull it back together and then stitch it down the center. So anyway, so because I was cut here, a lot of my nerve endings were severed. I had this procedure done, God, how long ago was it? A year and a half ago now. It's been about 18 months, I want to say. I don't feel shit in that area. Yo, it's scary. I was standing somewhere. I was cooking one day, and I was like, I always watch a lot of the like gender critical videos. I always watch when I'm cooking. And I'll prop it up. And I remember I was like sitting and like waiting on the stove for like the onions to caramelize. There was a knife that was sticking out, and it was literally stabbing me, and I couldn't feel it. I looked down, I was like, oh shit, I had this fucking knife like in my stomach. And it wasn't like super deep, but I was like, yo, that's scary. That's scary. I couldn't feel anything. I still can't feel anything. You could come and like stab me with something and I won't feel it. You cannot tell me that she feels this fucking flap of thigh skin. You can't tell me that some buried clitoris under, some huge, and she was like, well, I'm a little girthy. Whenever they say I'm a little girthy, if you guys have the stomach for it and can look up with it, I think it's really helpful to know what this stuff looks like. If I could get on my computer, I would like, actually, no, that would probably be a violation of terms of service. Maybe I can't show the neopene, but when they say girthy, they do like, so first they put on the tube. It's like, again, the phalloplasty is like the worst one of all. And then it's like, there's multiple stages. So the first stage, it's literally like a baby arm. And it's so gross. And it's like a collar. It's like a huge tube, and it's huge. It's like comically huge. And so when she says it's a little girthy, it's like, it's like bizarre comic book style. Just, it's like a joke. You're not gonna fucking convince me that you can feel your clitoris under that big, huge thing. She's like, well, because I guess my clitoris, or my T-dick, because, we can't even speak the words clitoris. We can't even say female anatomy. She's like, oh, my T-dick is buried under it, but I can access my T-dick through my scrotum. So I guess when she has to masturbate, she's got to go like under, so her T-dick's like on the pubic bone, like on, oh God, like, and it's like, oh. And I kept thinking to myself, I was like, why do some of these women even bother getting a vaginectomy? Like, why not have both? Like, if you're going to go that far anyway, like, apparently they're like, try to convince them to get the vaginectomy and to get the hysterectomy, because if you have hormone suppressant, if you're on Lupron or whatever hormone suppressant regimen that they're prescribing to you, plus testosterone, it's like, if you're not using it, just having those structures in place, like the cervix, the uterus, and the ovaries, puts you at an increased risk of cancer. So they try to convince you to get rid of it. Same with the vagina. So they'll convince you to have like a vaginectomy and a hysterectomy and an oophorectomy. And it's like, God, it's just so sad. It's like, so then it's like, then once you kind of get far enough down this road where you're like, yo, what am I doing? And one of the things I was thinking, it's like, wow, how have we gotten to a point where there are so many women are so disconnected? Oh, hold on.